Welcome, viewing several once again to my little series I like to call Hands Up. Who loves a train set? I do. So, this is episode 65 of the main series. So, I did an unboxing of some of the sets I got yesterday or this morning, I can't remember when it was. So I've kind of shown a little bit of these. So this is the first one I am reviewing. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a look inside it. We're going to have a little clean up and service the Loco a little bit, clean the track, see if we can get it set up, and then we're going to have a play with it. So that's all going to be a lot of fun. So this one, right, R3X, it's one of the early trying sets. One of, not the earliest, but very much early. So 1953 this came out, this particular set. I don't know if this one is from 1953, but this particular set came out in 1953. You can see you got two boys. I decided I was going to call them Stephen and Peter, and they're brothers, and Peter's the younger one. His tie is probably not a real tie. I think he's got that. It's one of them ones, you know, that you get on elastic. Whereas Stephen has learnt to tie his own tie, and he's a bit older. He can rock a tank top and short sleeves as well. So Peter's probably wearing shorts, whereas I imagine Stephen's got long trousers on. And yeah, it's 1953, so I'm trying to think what sort of music the two boys might be into. I imagine they're probably just, they haven't heard much, because it will be early days of wireless broadcasting. And so, you know, I don't know if Skiffle had actually got running at this time. I think it's a bit too early even for that, isn't it? So perhaps they're into Ken Collier and his jazzmen, who were quite popular at the time. Or maybe Ackerbilk, something like that. So a little bit of jazz pop. But yeah, there we go. I mean, Ken Collier was trad jazz, wasn't he? And I got a few of his records, and he was one of the guys that got into skiffle in the early days, and they used to do a jazz set and then a skiffle set. And the crowd used to swap between the older and the younger people. Right, anyway, let's have a look at this, shall we? So these are nice big boxes. That is still a sticker that's been applied. I don't think, yes, I think you can tell. So the boxes are generic, and then this sticker changes, and you've got that. So there was another set with the single boy on it. I don't know which is the earlier. I'm not sure. It might say in one of the Rovex Pat Hammond books, but I don't know. I haven't checked it. But yeah, you can see very much this early track. So let's have a look in it. Right, so here we are. So it's quite interesting. We've got a very early Ginty. It's not lined. It's got the lion on the wheel thing as the logo, the British Rail logo, which I think is the early one. Also that number, I think it would have changed on a later one. So I think it is quite an early one. As I said before, when I looked at it, it's a lot of these early ones, they had flangeless middle wheels, so they could go round the radius. And of course it's the XO3 or XO4 motor, so you can see through the cab the motor. But actually these motors are pretty serviceable. It's got the brass gear, so I can't remember if that means it's XO3 and the plastic gear is XO4. I can't remember offhand, but it's yeah, I mean, I will have a look inside it and give it a bit of an oil and a clean, get that running. So one of the things I wanted was this track, which is the standard track. Now, this plastic, it tends to go brittle and shrink. So yeah, so this is from the early 50s, and Series 3 came in 1958. So there was another 5 years to wait before the better track came in. The problem with it is that these things tend to break and the base warps, and I think somebody commented on my last video that the base shrinks, and what that means is when you put it together, you can sort of, the rails obviously don't shrink, so you can see the rails have gone together, but you can't quite get it flush, and if you really push it, it will go. It just means that you're going to be short somewhere else in the circle, so you can never quite get it, but the rails will go together. But as we'll find out when we start running it, it really does help to have these tabs and things well locked together. So yeah, I wanted to try this track. You can see that the base has some countersunk screw holes, which is quite nice, so you could screw it to a board, and I think that would solve a lot of the problems, but I suspect when it was new there weren't any problems, and it looks as though it's well designed enough that it would have gone together really well, a bit like the modern Pico track base track from the German Pico, P-I-K-O. That's a really good track base track, and I was kind of looking at this, it cleaned up nice, and I thought, oh, that might be, as you know, it was lying pretty flat on the desk, and I thought it's going to be pretty good. But yeah, the shrinkage is a bit of an issue, as we'll see. And we've also got, you know, early plastics warping on some of the, which a lot of these early sets have, the sort of acetate plastic, I think it is, that they used in the early days. But you know, I mean, it's like weathered, isn't it, almost? And if you see heritage railways where they've got these old wagons in the sidings, none of them are in pristine condition, very far from it. So it's almost like you don't have to do any weathering, because it's weathered itself over the 75 years or whatever. The other thing is these early sets have this early type of coupling, and it's still there's at least 5 years before we get to the modern style tension lock coupling with the, you know, that you still see the derivative of today on modern Hornby. So we've got one of those, and we've got a brake van. The roof on that one hasn't warped, which is nice. Very basic, trying R16 made in England. And we've got this little one with the, I think that was designed to, there may have been some logs or something that went with that, and then you've got these cable reels, and these actually come off. At one point I lost one down the hole in the desk when it derailed, so I had to crawl under and find that. So yeah, all pretty good, all good stuff. So we come to this, before we move on, we'll just come to have a quick look at this. So now I'm not going to be using this today. It looks interesting. I'm not sure if this is the one that came with the set. It's an old Triang power unit. You can see it's one of those in the middle. It's got the short circuit protection, high and low resistance. I've never really known what that does, because I've got that on one of my other things. It doesn't seem to make a massive amount of difference, and on the H and M ones you get a half wave switch, which obviously does make a difference. It says tested, but that will be well out of date. It's missing the things from the controlled output, but the uncontrolled output could be, I could just take them from there. But you know, in order to use this, I would have to probably open it up, check the earth and the live and the neutral, make sure it's not touching the case, have a look inside, test various bits of it, and then when I'm happy, I'd have to put a plug on it and very carefully test it. So I ain't going to do that today. And also, you can see it's the old system. I haven't seen this video. I think my old Triangscale electric power pack had this, where you've got live, neutral, and then just green, I imagine, is earth. But I'd have to look that up because I wouldn't risk my memory of it, because I haven't dealt with one of these since the 80s, I think, when I bought an old, you buy an old house, a lot of the wiring's really old, and you've got all stuff like that, and then eventually you have to give in and have a proper electrician to rewire it so it's safe. With stuff like this, I mean, you can do it, but I got the older R3X one working just by carefully checking everything and having a look inside, making sure nothing was sort of broken and touching the case. All the terminals are not connected directly to live, and the insulation hasn't broken down. So I may do this, but I mean, in all honesty, I probably won't ever bother, because I don't need to get this working. I've got plenty of modern and vintage controllers that work. So I don't know, will I ever get this? Will I ever have a look at this? To be honest, I probably won't, because the reason I did the R3X twin one is because it's AC, and you need it for the controllers and for the for the Locos, whereas this is just a normal one. You could replace this with a modern controller, so probably this is never going to get used. It's just going to be kept as a part of the set. Right, okay, what we're going to do next, I'll tell you what, we'll have a little, so I'm filming this after I've run it, but what I'm going to do is we'll go back in time and show me looking inside this, and then we'll set it up, have a beer, and just run it, yeah, let's do that. So we'll take a look at this fella straight as it comes out the box. So you'll see it does want to run. It's a little bit stiff. Try the other way. So I think we've got a runner, so we'll get the lid off and give it a little clean up and a bit of oil. Right, so what I usually do for a quick service, I'm going to clean the wheels with some contact cleaner. I'm going to clean the commutator, and I'm going to apply some lubrication to some places. So for the commutator clean, what I normally do is I just unclip or pin back one of these sides and then just get a cotton bud in there and give it a clean. So we'll do that. Let's just do that first. I can't do it and film it, I'm afraid. So I'll try to film it, but the thing is, it's I'll do a bit of it like this, but I'll probably do some of it off camera, and I'll probably get a cocktail stick in between the the contacty bits. So just to give you an idea, that's quite a bit of filth come off there already. So I'll finish that off camera, because it's I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Well, if I just lift that up, you can see that looks a bit cleaner now. So that's usually enough for now. So I'm going to do the similar thing to these wheels. I'll just put some on there and then give them a scrub. Mainly because I'm going to have to clean the track, and I'm going to clean the wheels of this to help contact, but also I don't want it putting all muck back on the track after I've spent time cleaning that. So the rolling stock and the locomotive, give them a quick clean. So I'll do that now. Right, so that's looking a little bit better. I mean, it might benefit from more of a clean up. There's a lot of filth come off, but you could completely dismantle these and remagnetise them and so on and so forth, but I don't think it's necessary. The magnet's pretty strong. So it's not too bad. So it doesn't pick up as well on this rolling road because these are the, these large wheels, flanges. So it actually picks up better, I think, if you kind of let it drop between the it, and then it will probably run a little bit slower. So there we go. So I'm not so worried about that. I think that's more of a contact related issue because of this rolling road is much too fine scale for this. Right, what I'm going to do is I want to see if it will run on the track, a bit of the track now. So let's have a look. Well, I've set this up with a clipper, and you can see it does run. So that's good. So we will be using this track. I haven't even cleaned this yet. So it's early evening now. So what we'll do next is we'll get the desk tidied up, get this all cleaned up with the track rubber, hoover up the mess that it makes, set it up, and by the time we've done that, and the time you join us again, we'll be ready to run it and have a beer. As I've said, I'm not gonna use the control. I'm gonna use this. I use my clipper so that I can run it tonight. I'm not going to do any work on this controller. I'll talk a bit. I haven't filmed the what's in the box bit yet. I'll do that after. So I'll talk about why I'm not fixing this tonight then. So yeah, let's go away and magically come back, and it will be time for a nice beer and a nice play with this. Right, so here we are, we're back again. It's that time again. It's Friday night and we've set up the track. Now it's a little bit rickety because obviously this track bed does warp with age, and this is, you know, well over 70 years old. So this set was introduced in 1953, making it 73 years old. So this type of plastic they use, as you can see, is prone to warping on this roof here. You've got a bit of a, I forget what they call that shape in mathematics now. Like, you know, it's like a saddle, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm going to have to hope I don't hit that wire going round, but we can always adjust if we need to. So we've got the familiar loop. It is a little bit rickety, and some of my viewing several did warn me that that might be the case, but we'll start her off. Yeah, she's a bit slow around there, so I'm going to have to offer encouragement to begin with, I think, until we warm up a bit. I've tried my best to even the track out there, but it is a bit rickety. Yeah, that's not so good, is it? I'm going to have to slow down a little bit. Right, so that's not too bad. What I'm going to do though, but you can get away with more at this scale because, you know, in the last episode I had to nail down that end gauge stuff because the amount of play in the track was similar, but of course it's a much bigger amount of play compared to the scale. In double O you get away with a bit more, don't you? So I think what we'll do, just for the hell of it, I'm going to come back, I'm going to shorten it, I'm going to take one straight out and bring this in. Just see if that makes any difference. Let's just see if that helps the running. And get a better angle. Right, we're back again. And we've done what I call the old bodges trick. Well, really what I've done is I found out that this piece of track is a problem because it's got, supposed to have that lug. Some of them have got half a lug. This one has nothing. So I've swapped it with a piece from the other set that I've got. And it's a lot better. So, first of all, I moved it from here and I put it over there where it was on the proper on the flat, and I thought, well, probably get away with it there because it's on the proper flat. But no. So what this tells us is that a piece of track with the proper lugs on, even if it's dirty, is way better than a clean piece with no lugs. And you will note as well that one of the straights I took out, that has also no lugs. Now you might think that that ought to be not a problem if it's on the flat, but I think the thing is, once this plastic starts to warp, those lugs are necessary to really hold the thing rigid. So there we go, that's a lot better, I think. Right, we'll try the halfways and see if we can get a crawl. Yeah, they don't, I mean, none of the Locos I have like that halfway setting. Whoops-a-daisy. Right, so. Oh, that's not running very nicely. So the thing is, come on. So here's the thing. Somebody in my comments did mention this, and they said they like this track, but it does, the plastic shrinks on, obviously the metal doesn't. And so what happens is these lovely joints that clip together, designed to clip together fast, that no longer works because the plastic is shrunk. So you can clip together, you know, I don't know, 350 degrees of it, or 330 degrees it probably is with this 30-degree curves. And in the last one, there's a big gap, and if you push it that way, so the plastic engages, the rails are too long and it will pop the rail out somewhere else. So the rails themselves will go together, but the plastic no longer does. And the plastic would probably go together without the rails. I mean, you could, if you were insane, if you could just shorten some of the rails. But it would be much easier if you wanted to really use this track. You could just pin it down, screw it down to the board, and that would probably solve it all. So there we go. I'm just going to keep running and talking nonsense because, and then I can edit it down or whatever. Make sure I get enough actual running footage because we've had a few stop-starts, haven't we? I'm trying to warm it up enough that it will go a bit slower. Unfortunately, with the way this is set up, and I've got this tonight, I've had to put the controller in the middle. I mean, one thing I could do is I could run this on a modern Hornby track, or I could get one of my loops of Series 3 or Super 4 and run this. And that would probably prove that this track is the weak point, but I don't think really we need to do that. I think it's fairly obvious that's what it is. I think when I do the Princess Elizabeth, I might like to try running that on alternative track as well, just to see how it runs. But for the purpose of this video and this set, I think this is absolutely fine. So, you know, your modern train sets are pretty good. Will they be running in 75 years? I mean, this one is going to be 75 in a couple of years' time, and I suspect, you know, it's probably going to probably make it to 100 still working. I'm quite happy with that. It's a nice. We've had a bit of fun. It's run all right. And like I said, I think it cost me about £21 something plus postage. You can't really go wrong with that. So I was thinking I might get some more of this track, but actually I don't think I'll bother now because I can see how the plastic shrinkage makes it a bit less useful. I can imagine when it was new this was pretty good, because I like Trackbird track. I particularly like the Pico, the German Pico stuff, and the Fleischmann, which they stopped making. But Loco also do one, Märklin do one, but it's kind of 3 rail, but it's not 3 rails, it's got them little studs in. So yeah, I mean that's pretty good really. But yes, so one of my commenters, they mentioned that the later version of this track had improved plastic that was less prone to shrinkage and warpage, but apparently that's understandably that's quite rare, because I think it probably came in towards when overlapping with Series 3, but also those that want it will probably hang on to it. But you know, the whole point of this set and the next one I'm going to do is that I really wanted to try this track, because I have never tried it, and I've got a lot of trying sets, and I've never bothered to buy one of these. It's always put me off because there's normally only 3 or 4 pieces in the sets, unless you pay top dollar. Similarly, I haven't got any of the Type A track in the TT gauge, which is like this, but it's got a red track base, and it's obviously TT gauge. So the next time I see an early T2 gauge set with that, I'm toying with the idea of maybe trying that, because that doesn't look too bad. Anyway, let's stop her. There she is. So not bad. I mean, 75 years old, you can't really go wrong. Well, 73. So all that remains now is for me to do some running shots, and I'll pack it all away again, and I'll film the intro bits, the what's in the box, blah de blah. So let's do the running shots, and I'll hopefully see you in the next episode. That has to do.